All right, we're back in the building. This is Gene with Buck What You Heard. I'm joined by my co-host, Michael Pless. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing great, Gene.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm doing
Okay.
great.
All right. Yeah, we missed last week, but we're back, and we've got a special guest, Shooty Shoots, of the
Shooty
famous
Shoots!
from the famous Shooter and Stash, in a very shady neighborhood. It looks like to me.
Yeah, I got to hang out here with my peoples on Nebraska. It's not what you think. I know Nebraska's got a reputation around town. It's not what you think. I just work around here, Gene. That's it. But thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it. Usually, you know this, I stay behind the scenes. Very behind the scenes guy. But when you said that you wanted to be on the show, I was like, your show's just average enough that I could probably go on it.
Man, and I appreciate that kind of praise. Thank you so much for being on. Well, guys, here we are, halfway point of the season. The Bucs are 3-5, and it's starting to look kind of. I'm gonna go there. Jason Light's been here since 2014, and just looking, this is 5 years. We're within his 5 years here. And he's had one successful season, 2016, and everything else he's done has just been. It just seems like this team forgets how to play football the first half of the season, and then they find it in the back end of the season. Is that accurate to say that, Pless?
I mean, this team is just going backwards. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, they're upside down. It's like you have a talented football team, but there's no accountability, no leadership. There's just nothing. I mean, we do things over and over again weekly, and it's just not getting better. So no improvement to say, and then you come out and excuses, consistently. It's not a good sign.
Yeah. And Shoots, I want to get your thoughts.
Well, it's the same thing for me over and over again with the Bucs, and it's been the same no matter who the coach is. Mm-hmm. It's been the same no matter who the GM is. So at one point, do we kind of figure out maybe it's not the coaches, maybe it's not the GM? Maybe I've been sold a bucket of lies, Gene. Every offseason, I'm thinking, oh, we could go undefeated. We're on Hard Knocks. Oh, we're having a quiet offseason. That's going to be good for the team. And it's the same thing every year. We win one of those first two games, maybe both of them like this year, and then we kind of just take a dump.
Yeah, and that's basically the way it's been since this regime has gotten here. I mean, you're looking at 2-14 the first season, 6-10. Then the Bucs go 9-7, and then they totally regress and go 5-11. And here we are midway, and they're at 3-5 right now. And it doesn't matter who you put out on the field. It comes a point in time you're like, well, what do you do? How do you fix this? Because we can go all the way back to Bruce Allen as the general manager with Jon Gruden and see some of the moves that were made, and it's been a lot of the same.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I was thinking though is this season does kind of remind me of, there was another season where we had the same record. I think it was the first year under Dirk, and we went on a 5-game winning streak that season. And I was thinking, the season's not over, and really mathematically it's not, right? So I was thinking maybe we go on the same type of run, win 4, 5, 6. I mean, they're going to have to win 5 or 6 to have a shot at the playoffs. But, I was thinking that would happen. But it is, when you watch the actual games, I mean, you guys watch the footage more than I do after the games. Do you guys think that's going to happen with this team? Do you think we're going to automatically, start seeing the defense, get a turnover, get an interception, maybe anything?
A turnover would be a nice start to see a turnover, but just this team as a whole, I mean, it just looks like everything that we've been seeing over the past couple of seasons. Same thing happens, And now this is where you kind of have to look back at the general manager. The general manager was given, in me and Plus, we talked about this. Within a 5-year span, that's where you should see market improvement of this team, and you're just not seeing it. As a matter of fact, like Plus said earlier, you're seeing regression. Go ahead, Plus. I know you were going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to see it because you haven't seen this team play a 4-quarter game yet. I mean, they play in spurts where they look pretty good, but then it's like, they just let everything go in the first half. I mean, you can't put yourself down 21-3, 28 to 7 or 5-7, before the half. I mean, you just can't put yourself, and they continue to do that because they don't know what they're doing out there. And then they make adjustments in the second half and start showing some life. But that's because the other team is just laying back. And then when it's time to get serious, the Bucs have no answers when it's time to make a play.
So, I just want to get your thoughts for, here we are halfway part of the season. What do? Do you blow this up and start over, or what are your thoughts? I mean, do you try to salvage some of this, or what would you do as a general manager or as an owner, and you're looking at this monstrosity here? What do you do with it? How do you fix it?
Well, you got to think about the people that are actually in charge, and how I think Jason is a little delusional right now because he made some comments about Deshaun Jackson. And, I don't think Deshaun's actually said it, but there was that rumor that Deshaun asked to be traded, right? Why would you not trade Deshaun Jackson? I think the headline I saw with Jason Light was Deshaun Jackson's a huge part of the future of this team. Deshaun Jackson is basically my age. And I know he's a lot faster, and he's always going to be a lot faster than me, but he's going to slow down pretty soon, and he's one hit away from being done in the NFL. You don't think the Eagles wouldn't have gave the Bucs a 3rd-round pick to get Deshaun back? I mean, I don't know. I would have taken it. I also would have shipped off Gerald McCoy. I would have tried to trade one of the quarterbacks. But these guys, Jason and Dirk, they know they got to win now. And unfortunately, that's going to put us behind at the end of the season when those guys probably get let go unless they turn this around.
Yeah. Plus.
Oh, I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, they're on their way to being. I don't see Dirk staying. Jason Light. I mean, unfortunately, I think he's done some good things. It comes down to they haven't got it done. So it's probably cleaning house. And I agree with made some more trades. I mean, just here, and I don't think he does. I moved him, and I would have moved Gerald McCoy, who's has been years.
Yeah, you're breaking up real bad.
Let me ask you though, Eugene. Did you miss Gerald McCoy when he was out? Did you miss it? Did you even notice?
It was pretty much more of the same. The one guy that I really feel bad about is Jason PierrePaul. Jason PierrePaul brings it, and I just was thinking about, I had somebody talk to me or message me on Twitter on Sunday and ask me about Jason Light because I haven't really gone in on Jason Light in the 5 years he's been here. I just pretty much been like, this guy is putting his team together. Let's see what he does. Well, as I mentioned, his record since he's been in Tampa, and he just hasn't gotten it done. And then somebody posted something about all the running backs that the Bucs have missed on, and there have been a couple of players that the Bucs have missed on where they went after somebody else, and it just, it hasn't worked out the best for Jason Light. So again, it's just one of those things where I know there have been some games the Bucs have lost by like a touchdown or a field goal or something like that, but it still goes back to getting that right kicker in here, fixing your offensive line, and just certain moves that he's made. Even regarding the secondary that could have easily improved this team. I mean, I look at Brent Grimes and where Brent Grimes is right now, and Brent Grimes is not helping this team. And, you guys, I'm sure we could debate that, but I just haven't seen where Brent Grimes has gone out there and done anything that's really benefited this team, on a regular basis. And as Michael Pless said earlier, this team has not been able to put together 4 quarters of football all season long. And, that's where we are right now. We've seen a lot of undisciplined play, and, there's nobody trying to fix this. So that's kind of where we are right now. And yeah, I did, like I said, I talked about Jason Light, and I was good with what the moves that Jason Light made because, I'm trusting the process. But here we are, 5th year. I mean, he's had 1 good year and 4 subpar years. So that's kind of where we are with this guy. So I don't know. Do you blow it up? And that's kind of what's in the back of my mind right now.
Well, let's just go back. Let's take a trip down old memory lane, Gene. Let's take a look at some of the draft picks that Jason Light has made. And let's figure out if Jason Light knows how to pick good football players up. Because let's think back 2016. These are players that should be headed to the Pro Bowl this year. They've been in the league a couple years now. The 1st round pick, we picked Vernon Hargraves. Okay, he got injured this year. Last year, everybody wanted to murder this guy. You guys wanted him out of town and gone and never to be seen again. And, you basically got it because he got injured this year. And boy, would we could use him right now just to have somebody to do something. So that's a 1st round pick. Now, 2nd round. Oh, we go up and get Noah Spence. We need a pass rusher. We haven't had one since Simeon Rice. Well, we got Noah Spence in the 2nd round. He should be an all-pro by now. Noah Spence, does he even play? He was suited up last game, right? I couldn't tell he played. Let's not talk about their other 2nd round kick, Roberto Aguayo. And then you go to the 4th round because I think they traded up to get Roberto. That was a winner. Maybe the worst draft pick in NFL history. And people said it that day. So that's pretty bad right there. But 4th round, Ryan Smith, cornerback, getting his ass kicked every game. 5th round, Beninock, the guard, who's starting now, getting crushed every game, not even playing every snap. Devontae Bond also playing now because of injury. Horrible, can't tackle. Nobody on the team could tackle last week. And then Dan Vitale was their other pick in that draft. He's gone. So what do you have to show for that draft a couple years ago where those guys should all be starters right now, or at least the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round pick?
You really don't. I mean, that's kind of where you're at. And, winning covers a multitude of sins. And I can tell you for a fact, if they had won, if the Bucs had won, shoulda, coulda, woulda, this would be a non-factor. But that kicker pick is going to stick with him the rest of his life. It's just how it is. And, it is what it is.
Yeah, so I won't bore you with the rest of the drafts, but he's had some good picks. OJ Howard was a can't miss.
Right.
Mike Evans couldn't miss. Justin Evans, I think, is going to be, our safety for years to come. Obviously, Quan was a steal. So he's had his picks, but honestly, we can't make the playoffs. So how good are these guys? I feel like Mike Evans is our best player. And by far, he should be our only Pro Bowler this year. And he, again, had a horrible game last game, probably the worst game of his career. And I feel like he's wasted on this team. I feel like he is really our only Pro Bowl player. And, Jason, you got to pick a couple more guys. And I haven't been impressed besides JPP with some of the free agents he brought in, because you can bring in Deshaun Jackson, but if you can't figure out how to use him, then what's the point?
Hey, Pewtercast has a question for you. Yeah, believe it or not, you got a lot of fans. I think most of these people are here to see you, not me. So, but how has the rest of the 2016 draft class panned out? Not just the Bucs, but the whole NFL. That class is mostly washed out already. Save the top 5 and a handful of others smattered throughout.
That's a fair point. I don't look at the rest of the draft, so maybe I should. But I again will spare you from going through the next year's draft. Go ahead and look it up yourself since Jason Legg's been here and count the stars on this team.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of injury, and I don't know. It's frustrating to see all these players that should be contributing and they get injured, and then you don't really get to see them and you don't know what you really have. Hey, plus, I'm sorry, are you back up and running?
I internet issues, so hopefully you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we got you.
Can you hear me still or no?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
But no, I mean he's right on the money. I mean, we haven't produced any star players, and Mike Evans is the only one, and we really don't use Mike Evans the right way either. So, I mean, that goes back to coaching as well. I mean, this staff has just been piss poor, and you have guys that are talented but not doing the fundamentals, the basic things that they should be doing weekly, and it shows on tape. And that's why you have a dead last defense and an offense that puts up points, but they're not good enough and that's an issue.
Can you fix that?
Can you fix it? Yeah, sure. You get better coaches in here, and you get a GM that can build a team the right way instead of just acquiring talent.
Right.
But guys, is it the coaches? Because we've had 3 different coaches in here the last 10 years. I mean, we've had 2 different GMs, and we've had a lot of the same players. So I'm starting to think, we could bring in, I don't know, Bill Belichick in here, and this team's still going to crap the bed every Sunday. Sorry, I just get pissed off because
it's okay. It's okay. Go for it. And again, I mean, how do you, I guess I'm just lost. How do you fix this? Because I look back at the 2010 Buccaneers, and they were like maybe a percentage away from going to the playoffs. And, that was the best team. The next year, everybody gets injured. And then they only end up winning 4 games, and then the coach gets fired. And then you bring in that dumbass Schiano in here, who should have never been a coach on the NFL level at all, ever. And, you were stuck with that. And then, we kind of transitioned into where we are now. It's just been the same movie over and over and over again.
You know what it is, guys? We've got a video on this. The curse of Chucky. Let me get in real close here. Let me get in real close. I need like the flashlight to put under my face here.
Okay.
Back in I don't remember the year. What was the year Chucky got fired? He lost 4 games in a row, and nobody thought he was going to get fired because he won us a Super Bowl, and that was several years before, but nobody thought he was going to get fired, right? We lost those 4 games in a row, and all of a sudden Chucky's gone. Since then, this team has not made the playoffs, has had 2 winning seasons, kind of fluky winning seasons. We didn't even make the playoffs those years. And something's got to give. I thought, Chucky might come back here. That might break the curse. I thought Chucky being in Oakland, that might break the curse. And he sucks there. I'm glad he's not here. Don't get me wrong. But something's got to break this curse, because since we fired him, it's been nothing but nightmares for this team.
Do you think maybe we could kidnap Jay Gruden and bring him here? You think that might be the answer?
I do also have a video where Jon Gruden kidnaps Jameis Winston. But
I know a lot of fans would be real happy with that right now.
No. Well, I don't know. Maybe they bring that. Could happen. The Redskins fall apart. We take the other Gruden back. The good Gruden. Is he the good Gruden? Is he? Maybe that reverses the curse. I don't know. I'm up for suggestions.
I honestly don't know, dude. You may be onto something, because that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, you switched out GMs, and you know what? I have to take a step back on that. I look at how they got Mark Dominic, and how they brought Mark Dominic in. Mark Dominic, you look at his pedigree, he was a swimmer. I mean, that was his background. And then he works his way up through the ranks at the Tampa Bay organization. And, you see what he does. They bring in Raheem Morris, and they give Raheem Morris the head coaching position because they know that there are other teams that are interested in his talents. So that was kind of a reactionary move, bringing him in. Then you come to Chip Kelly, who turns around and says, no, I'm not coming here at the midnight hour. So they're forced to get Greg Schiano. That's another reactionary move to bring him in. And I have to ask you guys, how many times have you seen a head coach hired before a general manager? Seriously.
That doesn't happen
in history, in NFL history.
But that shows you the problem, though, right there. I mean, the Glazers making these decisions, and that's one of the biggest problems is the Glazers are in the hands of these decisions, and really they shouldn't be because they don't know what they're doing. I think they need to find a way to get a football president. If they could get a guy who has experience and knows, what he's doing and knows how to hire the right coach and right GM, maybe that's a process that they need to look into. Will they do it? Probably not, because the Glazers are who they are, and they're going to be, they want to be in the focal point. But I don't know. It's just one big mess right now. It's just the consistent problems of, not drafting good, not developing these players. Then when you get into Sunday, just not looking prepared at all, failure to make adjustments. Players don't know what they're doing on the field. It's just one big mess. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah. And the question then becomes, are they willing to step up and say, hey, let's get a player personnel person in here to do this? Because everything that's been done since Jon Gruden has left has been a reaction based on something else that's happened. We look at, and I didn't really get to finish the whole saga because you get to Lovie Smith, and Lovie Smith, I don't know what happened in that meeting where he got fired, but I know there was a lot of emphasis on Dirk Cutter because there was a lot of people that were interested in Dirk Cutter. Another reaction, you bring him in and put him in as your head coach as a reaction instead of possibly firing Lovie Smith, going out and doing the due diligence, interviewing some of these other coaches that were available and bringing someone in. So throughout this whole process since Chucky, and to your point, you're right, but that's been what I've seen is that this team has just been reaction after reaction after reaction after reaction. It's never been anything proactive where they've sat down and said, you know what, let's think about this. Let's think this through. Let's get somebody in here. And then, you build your organization that way. And, unfortunately, and guys, I'm going to say this. A lot of people do not agree with me. Rich McKay, we were blessed to have Rich McKay in Tampa. And a lot of people will disagree with me and say he made some bad moves salary cap wise. But I can tell you what, from the time that this team started winning, he was the general manager. To the time that this team won the Super Bowl, he was a general manager. And after he left, you see what we have. And I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. You look at the personnel he brought in during his tenure, I would put him up against all three of these general managers that we've had in the past. In the last three general managers we had, I'd put his body of work up against all three of them.
Yeah, well, we shouldn't have shipped him to Atlanta.
Christ, that hurts. But again, there's nothing we can do about it now. It's all about what do you do now? How do you fix this? How do you right the ship? Because to be very honest, I just do not. I mean, and I, this show you've watched. We're as objective as possible, but I just don't see this team turning it around. I just don't see it.
Yeah, they got to. It's so strange because are we wearing like the rose-colored glasses here?
I know I do at times. I admit it.
The pewter colored glasses, because it seems like I feel like I can't say the word rebuild because we just have too many good players. But then again, like I said before, do we really have good players? Because we can't win a freaking football game. We get our ass kicked all the time.
To Pless's point, man, I think it's coaching. And I'm going to say this, and I sound like a conspiracy theorist. I don't have my tinfoil hat, but I swear to God, I believe that Dirk Cutter's been calling the plays since the Steelers game. And you can say Todd Monken or whatever, but I swear to God, just looking at this team and looking just the body language, just the vibe of this team, I feel like Dirk Cutter's been calling the plays since the Steelers game. I'm gonna go on record saying that. I mean, you guys, you probably think I'm crazy, but that's just how I feel. I keep hearing Todd Monken's name mentioned, but I just don't see it. And that look on your face, Shooty, says it all. But that's how I feel. that look of dismay that I just said that. But that's how I feel, man.
That's funny. No, I want to know what you guys think about the whole quarterback situation, because I don't know if you saw my jersey. I'm still supporting. I don't think he should be playing right now.
No.
But I think he is going to get back in and start some games at the end of the season for garbage time. And that's going to make or break whether he gets one more year here. And I think he's going to get one more year here. I know a lot of people are done with him, but how can you – I mean, I don't think they're going to bring Fitzpatrick back for another year. How can you also let Jameis go? Then what do we have? I mean, and then we're going to let Jason Light draft a quarterback? I hope not.
I don't know. I'm with you. I want to see what he can do. I want to see what he can do in a different system, to be very honest. I don't like Dirk Cutter's play calling. I never have. I realize that you're telling me it's Todd Monken. I know that look that you're giving me. I see it, Shooty, but I don't like
Dirk Cutter. Not the play calling. It's the
go ahead.
It's the scheme. The scheme is the problem. You're running a team that is not designed to beat modern NFL defenses nowadays. You need to update your ways of thinking. You need a modern NFL coach in here that understands how the game is being played now, instead of doing these things that are just not going to work.
Can we call that the Jeff Fisher effect?
You can call it what you want, but it's just not going to work. I mean, you're running defenses that.
I look at this team. There's a lot of talent on this team, and I would love to see somebody that, like you said, modern. That this is a passing league, speed and space, and we're just not seeing it. I mean, that's where people are making. That's where you're seeing the biggest gains. Is getting those passes out where a running back has speed and space, and he can go in and make moves. And we just are traditional. The Buccaneers are very traditional in how they're running this offense. I mean, well, since the Steelers game, but just to your point, you're exactly right.
Yeah, and how many teams?
Everyone.
Go ahead, plus.
Sorry to interrupt. No, I was just gonna say, like, the whole yards argument. Yeah, we're second or first in yards, but when do those yards come at? They come in the second half when we're down, 40 points and trying to play catch up. So right. I don't buy the offense is not the problem. So is the defense. So is special teams. The whole team is an issue because they don't play well enough when the game matters. They don't get off to fast starts, and then they don't know how to finish. So that's a problem that leads to consistent losing, and that's what's going to continue to happen this week.
And that kind of, to his point, and plus I'm glad you brought that up. That's what I look at this team, and I'm like, this is kind of why you had to blow it up, because there are so many people that are cool with losing. I look at and again, I look at Gerald McCoy. Gerald McCoy is cool with losing because he knows, okay, I'm gonna play my offseason, I'm gonna do this, whatever. He's not out there like JPP. You look at JPP, and every game that guy is every series he's in, he's trying to get to the quarterback. I mean, he's going to be our first double-digit sack leader since Simeon Rice. And I don't know if you guys remember last year, That was the big argument. Oh, we don't have a pass rush. Now you've got an edge rusher here, a guy that's doing what he's supposed to do, and the defensive line is still doing what the defensive line does. So, again, I don't know. I just don't know. Sports, I think you need to get a new coach. Need to evaluate guys like McCoy, David, etc. So, again, they're what are they doing? Tape don't lie. And I know, Pless, if you're not following Michael Pless and Real Bucs Talk, you really need to. The way he breaks down film, I mean, you look like a genius. If you watch his film and go talk to somebody else that doesn't know that you don't know anything, they would think you're some kind of offensive coordinator or something. Dirk Cutter is Coach Klein from Waterboy. No way. Wow, the chat is crazy tonight. The defense doesn't stop anyone. Second half, the other team just lets go. That's the truth. Savage Man says the defense doesn't stop anyone. Second half, the other team just lets off the gas, and that's just what they do. Yeah, this is true. Pewtercast, I want to see what we can do when the defense can make a stop and get off the field. Well, we saw that in the first 2 games, but we just consistently haven't seen that since then, since Dirk Cutter took over the play calling. But
no. They made a stop. They made at least one.
Yeah, they made stops.
They made one. But I mean, you got to give them their credit for that one stop, because they're going to celebrate their asses off for that one spot, for that one stop that they got. That, like, what was it? The first series, they stopped them right away. And then there was 20 touchdowns after that, 20 consecutive touchdowns,
something like that. Yeah. So again, it's just one of those things. I mean, and this is something we're going to be talking about this consistently. How do you fix this? That's the question, because we can all be in agreement, and I'm on board with this. This isn't working. This is not working, and it's not going to work. Otherwise, it would have. And again, when you have 5 seasons to look at, well, actually 4.5. I will say 4.5. And the majority of it is a losing season. The majority of the games are losses. I mean, you have to say, okay, where do you cut your losses? And do you bring this team? And plus, I'm going to ask you up front, do you bring this coaching staff and general manager back next year? Oh, I know you wanted them gone last year. That's why I'm asking you this year.
Yeah, they should have been fired last year.
Yeah, there you go. And Shoots, your thoughts. I know you want your guy Gerald McCoy to stay and get a couple more Pro Bowls here in Tampa, but okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't mean that. I was just joking. I wasn't serious here. Give me your thoughts on that.
If I'll give Gerald McCoy a pass right now. Why? But if Dirk and Jason Light are here next year, I might never make a Bucs video again. That's it. And a lot of people are going to be like, please win or please keep him. Make sure this guy never makes a video again. But oh my gosh, I believe in keeping with coaches. I'm glad Dirk got that 3rd year, because we've been going through that whole 2-year cycle with our coaches. But time's up, and I think these guys know it. I think when you hear Dirk talk, he knows the end.
Ready for a vacation.
The ship is sinking. And I haven't really seen any interviews with Jason Light or anything. I haven't really been seeking them out, but I saw that headline where he thinks Deshaun's still the future of a big key in this offense. No, he's not. We could have traded Deshaun and got a pick, but he would have fucked up the pick anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, this is true. This is very true. So at this point right now, I guess we're all in agreement. This is where you need to start over. I think you got some great pieces on the offensive side of the ball. You really need to shore up that offensive line just a little bit more. And the defense, I mean, what do you do with the defense? I mean,
I know.
Besides, and I know we're talking about getting rid of Gerald McCoy. Another person that I've heard mention, and I need to get your thoughts on this, is Levante David. Do you keep Levante David here?
Ooh, I want to hear what Pless says.
Yeah, this is where we're looking at.
I could care less if he's here or not. I mean, I think you got to get players that are accountable and that are going to show leadership and lead by example. But
We just haven't
if
seen
he's
it.
here, then yeah, if he's here, then fine. But personally, if you can trade him and get assets, I would do that. But I mean, the whole thing's a mess, and same thing with Quan Alexander. He hasn't lived up to anything either. So I mean, they got to get guys that want to be here and want to do well and are trying to be, hold these guys accountable and not accept losing, because that's pretty much what is happening week in, week out. It's like, okay, we're not going to do our job this week. We're just going to let the other team score. All right, cool. And that's pretty much it. There's no one coming to the sideline saying, okay, you can't do that. Go sit your ass on the bench. There's just none of that.
Yeah, and it has to be consistent play. That's the whole thing. I mean, when you see plays, you may see bursts of plays, but you're not seeing plays every single series. And I know that may sound unrealistic to some point, but at what point, where's the leadership? That's kind of what I'm looking at. Where's the leadership? Who's going to sit these guys down and say, hey, let's do, we have to do better. I mean, JPP he's leading by example, but nobody's following his example. So we've seen it consistently throughout the season. Missed tackles, missed assignments, especially the missed tackles. That's probably the most frustrating part of it. These guys have been tackling since Pop Warner, and now all of a sudden you can't play fundamental football and make a tackle.
Yeah, it's ugly. It's even like guys like Levante David. I mean, he looks like a rookie out there at points in the game, especially what was it, that Bears game? And I know everybody looked like a rookie that Bears game, but this is a team that should not look like rookies anymore. Like Levante David should be having a Pro Bowl season. He should be having interceptions. There should be fumbles. Like we have what, one interception? What's going on?
Yeah. And then the one fumble in the Chicago game that Levante David caused. Guys, and I'm looking at the chat. I know Clutch Sports is not agreeing with what we're saying here, but you have to have consistency. You have to be able to go out week in and week out and make those plays. And this defense as a whole is not making those plays. There's only one or two people out there. It's not the players. The players have to make those tackles, bro. Is what I'm saying. When you see all the missed tackles, you go from a 5-yard loss to a 15-yard gain. That's huge. That's huge on a defense that can't stop. They can't stop anything. You have to make that tackle. A point of attack, you have to get that stop, and they're not doing it. And it's just been that way. That the defense is a liability, and just like last year, the defense was a liability. That's the reason the Bucs lost close games that they should have won, is because the defense was a liability. They couldn't get those stops. And I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, I tell you what, you get Justin Evans getting a tackle, 5-yard loss, or getting stopped at the line of scrimmage, as opposed to letting a guy break free and get 10, 15 more yards. You're talking about two totally different games then. So at the end of the day, we're just not seeing that consistent play from the defense, and they are the liability.
Yeah, and if you put these guys on the Patriots defense, you just go with their scheme. I know it's not an exact match, but this team's not going to make the playoffs with these players. That's why, I've always been like coaches first, but I'm at that point where how much can the coaches do? These guys, if you listen to their interviews, they say they're prepared. I mean, I know you're probably not supposed to throw your coach under the bus during these interviews, but they always say it's about execution. These guys just don't execute, and it's the same thing over and over again every season.
And everybody in the chat, I want to know, just based on this conversation, who do you feel is at fault? If players aren't making tackles, if players aren't playing fundamental football, if players aren't playing in their positions, and they're not executing according to the plays that are put out there, who's at fault? Where does the blame lie? Because there's enough blame for everybody. And I'm just kind of curious on what you guys think. But Mark Goodman, thoughts on moving to a 3-4 defense with the next coaching staff? The days of the great Tampa 2 defense is long dead. We need a drastic change. What are your thoughts?
Defense, no. But no, what I was saying earlier, my main thing is whoever they bring in, coaches or GMs, whoever they bring in for next year, they need to make sure that every player on this roster is held accountable and not just look at status. Oh, Levante David, he has a status of being a pro, or Gerald McCoy has a status of being a Pro Bowl player with Quan Alexander or whoever. They need to look at the game tape and understand, like, why are these guys playing the way they are? And it's just not good, because I'm a guy who watches tape consistently weekly, and I see linebacker play that is atrocious, defensive line play that is the same week in, week out, guys not run fits. I mean, the run fits against Carolina, if they are in the right gaps, those are 2-yard plays at minimum. Like, these shouldn't be big plays that these guys are getting, and it's just easy fundamentals that are being missed.
Because they have the physical tools
to do it, right? You got to look at these. Yeah, absolutely. But these guys need to be looked at, and like, someone needs to be held accountable, because obviously they're not doing their job, and it's just continue to happen. I don't know how you go about it. If you bench one of these guys, who do you bring in? I mean, I would be in the mindset of sitting these guys down and bringing someone else in that wants to play and be out there, because it just doesn't look like they really give a crap. That's what I see.
And what's like deja vu, to be honest. We had this conversation last year, Plus, about the same time, talking about that want to.
Yeah,
you got to have that want to, and that's not what we're seeing. We're not seeing it from anybody I can't say anybody. There are players going out there doing what they're supposed to do. And again, It's one of those things. I realize there are injuries, but it's next man up. I mean, if you're in the NFL, a lot of people are not in the NFL. You have to go out there and make plays.
Yeah.
So next question to you guys both. And Shoots, I don't know if you know or not. I know that you're in hockey mode right now. And go Lightning. But is there a coach or a GM that you got off the top of your head that we should be kind of looking at or thinking about?
I don't know. I don't know the young coordinators that are out there. Obviously the Rams are having a kick-ass season, so everyone's trying to get a guy like McVay. And hopefully that's the thing. Like we kind of talked about earlier, like who's in charge of the Bucs and making those kinds of decisions and scouting out like who's going to be available. It seems like they really need a better person in that position, someone that's maybe more connected. Because, you think back to the last couple coaches we hired, even last year, Chucky was supposed to be coming here. That was the rumor the last 4 weeks of the season. Before that, yeah, we didn't want him anyway. But before that, it was Chip Kelly was going to be here, right?
Yeah, the
Chip Kelly was going to be here, and then even way back when was Parcel or Bill Parcells was going to come here at one point. We're the team that everybody leverages to get the job they want, because whoever's running this organization does not know how to run it correctly.
Yeah. It to be honest, guys, it reminds me of the Steinbrenner brothers. After the dad died, they're biggest idiots I've ever seen, but that's how they run the team. I mean, they're the owners. That's what they do. And it's eerily close. I know the Yankees win more and they go to playoffs or whatever, but just as ownership, that's what they remind me of, is the Steinbrenner brothers. And the morons have no business with a baseball team. But again, there's nothing you can do about it. Can you present that to the Glazer brothers to, hey, can we get a player personnel guy like a Derek Brooks to come in here? What about a Shelton Quarles? Would you have an issue with a Shelton Quarles being a player personnel guy coming in that would assist the GM and helping with those decisions? And one last thing that when we're talking about Jason Licht, I kind of saw a difference after Robinson went to the Titans. And I don't know if maybe I'm wrong here on this, but it just, I don't know. Jason Licht I see what he was doing, but it just wasn't the same as it was with Robinson here.
You mean he was picking better draft picks when Robinson was here?
I don't know. I just feel like there's something different about, once he left, it just wasn't the same.
That was his crutch.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that, but it's just something that I kind of noticed.
Yeah, that's a scary part to me because I don't know who you bring in. You're gonna have to roll the dice with someone. You're not gonna get a big name here in Tampa. I'd say go with someone that's young, that's smart, and you got to give him the keys. You got to give maybe Pless is the guy. Pless seems willing to let go.
That I would be good with Michael Pless being the GM of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you know what? I would give him a good reference letter. Trust and believe. It would be a wonderful reference letter for him to go in and do what he does, man. I would like to see him put in the scheme as well.
What's the first thing you do, Pless? Is it trade away Levante? Like shock the world. Trade Levante. That puts everyone on notice right there. You're like, you just take it out and whip it on the table and say, hey, I'm your GM now. Is that the move?
That would be a good start, but
that would be an attention getter right there.
I'd probably trade McCoy and then quarterback.
So would you get rid of Jameis Winston?
As far as I just feel Jameis is who he is. I mean, he's a prone guy. I mean, he just hasn't been accurate. He hasn't been accurate his whole career, and I just don't see that becoming any better. Again, if you put him in like a West Coast offense, maybe he can be a little more accurate where it's short passes and get him in rhythm. But I just feel like, he gets in his own way too much, and that's going to eventually and like who they get as coach, who they get as general manager. I think they need someone young and someone that's open-minded, a modern football mind that understands how the league is being and how it's going. And you got to be able to adjust in this league. You have to be able to adapt on the fly and be in the best position to succeed. If they can do that, then, I think as it stands right now, again, obviously you need to, make some improvements in certain areas, but they got to have accountability. I mean, that's what they're missing right now. There's just no accountability on either sides. There's no sense of urgency. Nothing saying, hey, let's get better at this, but the same, same week, same result. It's just constant doing whatever we want to do. There's no system or plan in place, and that's what you got to have. You got to have a plan, and you got to be able to execute it, and they're just not they're not doing that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Another guy that I really want to get a good look at is Kendall Beckwith. I'm really excited to see him eventually coming back.
They need him.
They need him bad. And as you guys know, and I'm still on the Kendall Beckwith apology tour 2 years in, or the second year in. I was mad that they drafted him. I thought there were other needs that, the Bucs had, and they went out and got another linebacker. So again, here's a guy that can come in and show his worth and, show that, he's going to come in and be that difference maker. Losing Quan Alexander, I was really disappointed to see him after he had such a great game to go out and get that injury. I would really love to see him at 100% in there with Beckwith. So it's one of those things I'd like to see how that all works out. I want to get a good look at him this year. He may be another guy that you keep around, and there are a lot of good pieces here on this team. So, it's a possibility that that's what it may take is a head coach and some free agent pieces and, move some players and get some different players in.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Kendall Beckwith thing. Let's see how it plays out with him. We obviously need him bad right now.
Yeah.
But they traded up to get him, and everyone was kind of like, well, the bums that don't know anything about the draft, were kind of like, who? Because I was holding my breath, waiting for that Marlon Mack pick because he was there. I remember. Yeah. And Marlon Mack, he's been injured this season, but he's played a couple of the last couple games. He's about to take off. That boy, watch out. And gosh, how nice would it be right now to have a running back that can make people miss and maybe get some yak, or I guess they don't need yak to run, but yards after contact. Yeah, that's yak too. Yeah. See, I know this football thing. Yeah, let me put on my football helmet.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, man. It's one of those things that there's no right or wrong answer right now, but the Bucs need to fix this. I mean, they've gone too long without being in the playoffs, and they're doing a disservice to a lot of fans, especially fans that travel, fans that are season ticket holders, and fans that just go to games. I mean, you want a better product on the field. And why not put a player personnel guy in like a Derek Brooks, like we're talking about? Get somebody in there that's that buffer between the ownership and the general manager that can give you some sound advice and put you in the right direction. So they just have to do more than what they've been doing. They need to put themselves in a position where they can win because, again, they've got quality players on that offensive side of the ball. And they've got some players on defense that are, once they're healthy, that can come in and contribute. So, again, I expected more out of this team. They underachieved for the second year in a row. And, enough is enough.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm glad we're all on the same page. And you guys decided to have me on the show when we hit rock bottom.
Hey, we need something to boost it back up. You may be the good luck charm. I don't know if you know that or not.
I'm pretty sure since we started doing little Bucs animations, we've just been absolutely trash. So maybe
you're putting us back on the map. You put me on the map, and we got to get Pless on there. You have to do a segment of Pless. Just breaking down film and basically cussing at the coaches because they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So
I've got an idea with Pless. He becomes Bucs GM, and I'm gonna do his first conference on the job there with the table and we'll leave that one alone.
Hey, that would be great because I could just see this. I could see this happening.
Hey. Anything's possible in the world of Shooter and the Stash. So
that's right.
I put out we do a suggestion box every once in a while on Facebook.
You need to tweet it out you need to get it on Twitter. That's where you're.
No, I'm different on Twitter. Twitter's like that's Shooter at the water cooler.
That's Shooter the jerk. That you got some really awful things to say about me, and I still haven't gotten an apology for any of that.
Well, it got me on this show.
Yeah,
I guess I could apologize if I wanted to, but hey, all I want to know are you on my side of the fence or are you on Gerald McCoy's side of the fence? Because Gerald McCoy's he's been here for 9 years, people. He's been here for 9 years.
He didn't make a cartoon for me, so no, I'm on your side.
And he never will. He might buy you some Batman underpants or something because he's rich. And don't get me wrong, Gerald McCoy might be the nicest, most genuine guy in football. He does a lot for this community, but he is not. I don't even know what I'm saying. He's not a great football player, in my opinion. I know a lot of people are not going to say that. I don't watch the film.
Let's say this. He's not consistent. How is that?
Let's say this.
Fair assessment.
Can I say this?
Yes.
He's not a winner. We need a winner here. I remember some stories about Sapp and Brooks getting drafted, and they were tired of losing, and they took over that locker room and they said, we've had enough. We're putting our foot down. Nobody on this team's going to do that. So we got to find someone that will. And I think that's got to be the first guy that goes.
Yeah, I cannot argue with you at all. And again, this has been, and you guys know, I mean, people know I've been very supportive of Gerald McCoy since he was drafted. And again, when you look at the body of work, just like you guys are talking about, you look at the body of work, and that's kind of where we are. You see, he is who he is, and he's Gerald McCoy, and you can't compare him to anybody because that's who he is. So again, this is one of those things that we need to the Bucs really need to look closely at this team and see who they need to keep and see who they need to bring in. So again, it's just one of those things, and I'm hoping it'll work itself out. Plus, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was one of the biggest Gerald McCoy supporters, I mean, for a long time. But then, once I started watching tape and getting into films, it's just not there. I mean, he's just not very good. He's okay. Like, he's not going to be a difference maker, and that's what you need him to be. And he's just not that. You pay him 12 plus. Right. Yeah, I mean, he'll show up a couple plays here and there, but then he'll disappear for most of the game, and you just can't have that. I mean, you're supposed to be a franchise, and you're not making impact plays. What are you then? You're just a face on the wall, and that's. But anyway, I mean, from now, I'm not going to defend these guys. I'm not going to defend James Stupid on the field or off the field. I'm not going to defend inconsistencies on that are supposed to be good all the time, and they're just not. So I'm going to let the film do the talking, and that's pretty much it. I'll point out guys who are doing well. There's certain guys on this team that are busting their ass every week and playing hard and at positions. And the funny thing is, it's most of our rookies from this year that are actually doing the right things. But the rest of the guys that you think are supposed to be good are just not playing up to that level. Then that's pretty much it.
You're absolutely right. And the one thing that everybody has to look at, the Bucs have 25 wins in 5 seasons, or I'm sorry, 4.5 seasons. Yeah. 25 wins. So put that in perspective right there. When you're talking about all this, they have to do better. This is not acceptable at all. And something has to change.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll do you one better. I know exactly how many games they've won with Gerald McCoy, and he's been here for what, 9 seasons?
9 seasons.
In the games he's played in, because he's been injured a lot. In fact, go look up his stats next to Ndamukong Suh. They're very similar in stats, but Suh's played a lot more games. He has a lot more tackles. But overall, they're both kind of panned out to just be kind of average defensive tackles, like, good enough to play in the league for 10 years. Yeah. But 44-71 with McCoy being the face of the franchise. And to me, he's been the face of the franchise since Jameis got here. And, Jameis is not the face of the franchise anymore.
Wow. So you're talking about 44. Hold on. 44 wins. That is crazy. And the reason I say that's crazy is because I look at Jason Light, and Jason Light since 2014 to the present has 47 losses. So it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it all. But
we're really close to being the Cleveland Browns. Like, yeah, we might be the new Cleveland Browns at the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you can out Cleveland the Cleveland Browns. They had a franchise quarterback, and they're still doing the same thing. So again, looking in the chat, I know there's a huge debate between the Sports Web and Clutch Sports talking about getting rid of players and keeping players. Again, Gerald McCoy, I was again, we were fans. You can go back and listen to any video you want to. We have been supportive of this guy, but he hasn't been able to consistently dominate games. I've seen plays where he's been one-on-one with the offensive tackle and gets owned. And that occurs a lot more often than you think. And to me, for somebody who's supposed to be this elite defensive tackle, that, I don't know, something that really shouldn't happen. But guys, he's been here all this time. He hasn't made players around him better. There's just a lot of things that he could do that he hasn't done. And that's just, where we are right now. You have to evaluate. I want this team to win. I want this team to go to the playoffs. I'm sick of this team being 3-5 or 1-7 or whatever. I want this team to win and be consistently in games and not having to play from behind. And I'm sick of the defense being the liability. I can go all the way back to 2012 and see games where the quarterback has put you in a position to win, and all the defense has to do is get a 3 and out, and they can't do it. And it's been that way forever, and nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. And again, that's what you have to look at. You have to look at collectively what you have here. And I'm going all the way back to Bruce Allen to the present. They just have not been able to sustain wins. They are not built to win. And I'm talking, when I say built to win, I said this on Twitter, they have not been able to go from general manager down to the ball boy, everybody in between, in a position to where this team can start winning games. They just haven't done it. There's always been excuses, or I have to do better, or we have to go back and reanalyze the tape and see what we did wrong and fix it, or we have to fix it, or we have to really come together as a team and have a team meeting and pray about it, or whatever their excuses is. I'm done with the excuses. This team needs to win. The fans deserve it. This is ridiculous.
Well, I want an apology from you to Gerald McCoy, because if the defense turns it around like they did 2 years ago, 2016, and they win 5 straight games, the defense gets, I just want to see one turnover, just one turnover. But I hear Gerald McCoy is bringing the defense to dinner, and that's basically what our season's going to come down to, is Gerald McCoy's dinner with the defense. And maybe they'll talk about, maybe they'll order some Apple turnovers, and that will translate into some wins. I don't know. What do you do?
You got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. You got to start, somebody has to be held accountable.
But
maybe we should order turnovers and send them the $1. What do you think?
Bigger question though, will they show up to the same place? Will they have communication issues like they do on the real?
See, we have that right there.
Yeah, what, 2 guys are going to be at Cheesecake Factory, the other's going to be a Capitol Grill,
and one guy at Blue Martini. So yeah, I see what you're going. I see where you're going with that. Guys, it's crazy. This is the same thing we saw with Greg Schiano. I swear to God, if you go back and look at the game film, it's the same exact thing. The defense wasn't being used the way they're supposed to. The offense wasn't doing this. They weren't doing this. Everybody had an excuse for everything, and we thought it was the coaching. You get rid of the coaching, bring new coaching in, same thing. Okay? So, I don't know. I don't even know what to tell you. I really don't. I'm confused. So all we can do is, and I understand that look, Shooty. I get it. All we can do is just keep watching and hoping that the ownership will say, hey, you know what? We need to get a player personnel guy in here. I think you really need to, next time you're at the game, catch one of the Glazers and just whisper it in his ear. Hey, you guys need a player personnel, or Shooty, you can do this as well. We need somebody in there like a Derek Brooks that can, they can be that voice of reason.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll call Derek up.
Yeah, you do that, man. Yeah, and just let him know that there's maybe you could make a video about him. Who knows?
That's, we could do like getting fired, and then them hiring Derek Brooks, and him at his first conference, and he just never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, I can't believe it's already been an hour of me ranting and raving about this team that I love and hate so much and love. It's an abusive relationship, but I'm not going anywhere.
It's a Bucs life.
Exactly. So, guys, I'm gonna start with you, Shooty. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, and what do you have coming up next?
I am Shooter from Shooter in the Stash. We make silly videos on the internet.
You make great videos.
Yeah, you can check us out on YouTube. Just head right there after you're already on YouTube. Heck, just head right to Shooter in the Stash on YouTube. Check out the archive. We've been making videos for almost 2 years now, and it's shocking how many there are. I know they're not for everyone. They're sometimes crude and rude. If you don't like them, though, here's what I got for you. Can you zoom in right there? Can you zoom in?
We got you.
You can move on. You can move on to something else. But my website's down right now because we're redoing it. But at Shooty Shoots on Twitter, and we got a really great following on Facebook, where that's where we do our suggestion box and get some really cool ideas from everyone, and sometimes we make them. So check me out. I love to get feedback.
They're anti-Twitter, just FYI. But go ahead.
Well, it's just me on Twitter. I'm the only one on Twitter. I love Twitter. I'm on Twitter every single day. You know that. I talk smack to you every day.
Yeah, you really do. All right, and plus, what do you have coming up?
Just more game tape. Follow us at Real Bucs Talk. On this debacle that was the Panthers game, and then we have more coming up on the Redskins. But just a lot of film work. Also have a podcast coming out probably tomorrow night, so look for that. And be sure to follow this show. And thank you to all the fans that you Shooter and Stash for joining. And yeah, I mean, hopefully we can put out something that will, show the light for this team and get them on the right track.
Yeah. And one last question for both of you guys. Do you see any way that the Bucs keep this staff here after this season? If they won the next 8 games, is it possible?
Of course. If they make the playoffs, they're coming back. But I think even if they tank the rest of the season and win like the last 4 games, which I know we're getting close to, I don't know. These guys are still gone. You got to make the playoffs after 3 years. You saw it with our last 2 coaches, only got 2. I'm glad Dirk got the extra one, but Dirk just kind of looks like a freaking deer in headlights sometimes. Like he's got to go. Like can't evaluate talent as good as we need him to, so they got to go.
Yeah, most definitely. And plus, you said your podcast is coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, I have a new one out tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I don't think the staff stays. I mean, it's just showing. I mean, they would have to do a gigantic, like, opposite amount, whatever you want to call it. Like, it would have to be like complete opposite of what they're showing if they can do that. Yeah,
I'm kind of with you right here. And folks, if you've watched the show the past couple of years, I haven't really said a whole lot about Jameis Winston. Haven't said a whole lot about Jason Light or Dirk Cutter. I've been pretty much just, kind of trusting the process. I'm not one of those people that's just going to jump off the ship just because somebody's having a bad year. But when you have a body of work and you can look collectively at what somebody's done, it gives you an idea of what they've done and who they really are. I just don't see this team under this regime improving. I just don't see it just based on what they've done. And they've only had 1 winning season. And you look 5 years, 1 winning season, that 1 winning season is the anomaly. So again, it's one of those things that You know, in order for the Bucs to do something, they're gonna have to go a different direction. They're not getting the most out of the defense. They're not getting the most out of the offense. And I swear to God, Dirk Cutter is calling the plays on offense. Until I see otherwise, that's just based on what I'm seeing. Just the way that this team is running. But again, I'm realistic here. I want this team to win. I don't care who's under center. I don't care who the head coach is. I don't care who the general manager is. I want this team to win. I don't care about any of that other stuff. I don't care about being right or wrong. That doesn't matter to me. But I would love to be able to say, hey, I'm going to go get playoff tickets to go watch the Buccaneers play. That's what I want to be able to say. And everybody else that's been running their mouth about Jameis Winston and they wanted Marcus Mariota or Jason Light didn't pick your favorite football player, you know what? Here you go. It's all about the team, and that's what it all comes down to. Yeah, just like Shooty says. And again, it's about this team. It's not about it's wins and losses. It's not about you got your favorite player on the team. Who cares? You want that, you can go play Madden. But anyway, that's pretty much it for me. And Clutch Sports, I would love for you to call in to the Sports Web on Saturday. I would really love to continue your conversation with Peter Blake, host of the Sports Web. I will have that last hour. So if you want to call in, I'll get you the number. Hit me up on Twitter, and I'll get you that number so you can call in. But guys, that's pretty much it for us. It's getting late, and I want to thank everybody for checking us out. We're out.